Assalamu alaikum guys, and welcome back to the kidsdiet boxing channel. I'm here in my office again to make a video on a very important topic to a lot of people in this day and age, which is youngsters and kids. Throughout working with youngsters and now coaching kids boxing, I have a lot of parents over the years who have asked me very good questions. Okay, and recently the questions are coming up again, and what I noticed that is there's a theme to these questions, and certain questions are quite regularly asked. Okay, so I'm finding myself in a position where I answer a question, and then 2, 3, 4 months down the line, another parent will ask the same question or a similar question. So I thought to myself, why not bunch all these questions together and then sit down and have a good conversation or an explanation for myself and discuss these questions and my advice and suggestions and opinions on these questions and these matters. Okay, so tune in for this video, and hopefully we will cover quite a few good points, and I'm hoping that you guys can take some points away that you can adopt with your kids and work with your kids and parenting your kids and training with your kids, eating with your kids, etc. Okay, so what I've done is I collated some questions and I bunched them into 3 areas. So hopefully what I'm going to do is make this video in 3 parts. So you don't need to sit there and watch me and listen to me for a good hour or so. Okay, I'm hoping that I'm going to split this up into 3, that you'll have 3 short videos that you can watch, and hopefully that'll be more easier for yourself, and hopefully you can take some information and advice from this as well. Okay, so the 3 areas that I've identified is that I get a lot of questions regarding the food, the dieting, the nutrition for kids. Okay, questions like, what should my kid be eating? My kid's eating too much sweet stuff. Can you help them lose weight, etc. Okay, then I have another question based around the training for kids. What should kids be doing, training, how often, etc. Okay, and then a third area was I was asked some very important questions about what we could do for kids in this day and age, for the today's generation. Okay, what's the role of training? What's the role of sports? What's the role of getting them into clubs, etc. And how can that benefit youngsters and going forward? Okay, and also to touch on the well-being and the mental well-being of youngsters, and how to make sure that they got a good physical and also mental well-being as well in today's day and age. So good questions, really. Good questions. And so hopefully what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the video into 3 parts, cover one section, and then hopefully move on to the other and the other. So please stay tuned for all 3 parts. Okay, and any questions, comments, fire them through. I hope this is beneficial to you all. Really, I'm aiming for my students and their parents, the local community, and if it can help wider than that, then brilliant. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put some khair in this, inshallah, so let's begin with it. So, part 1, like I said, is going to be about nutrition, food, losing weight. Okay, so I have 3, 4 questions here, and they kind of linked in basically into one topic, which is, one question is, can you help my child lose weight? Okay, what's the best diet for kids? How to get skinnier as a boxer, and what food should my kid be eating? Okay, so I'm going to try and answer these, but I might jump into both or all 3 or all 4 at one time, etc. So let's go with the, can you help my child to lose weight? Okay, now before I get into what my advice is regarding this, what I'm going to do here is really, I'm going to throw this back at you. Okay, now this might be harsh, but my question back to that parent and to those who ask me this question is, what can you do? And the reason why I say this is because the parents send their kids to me, okay, for most of them once a week for 1 hour. I run a class of 20 to 24 kids. I got to teach them boxing. A parent has asked me to discipline them. Another parent has asked me to work on their fitness. Another parent has asked me to work on their skill. And now a parent asks me can you help him to lose weight? As in, talk to him about food, etc. So that's 5 things that I got to work on in an hour with 20 to 24 kids. Okay, so that's a difficult thing to do. I'm not going to be able to give your child one-to-one attention for very, very, very long, especially when I got other kids hanging off the bags, poking fingers into the electric sockets, okay, and then fighting on the other side as well. So it's a difficult thing to do. However, I do try to put my points across as a group, as a whole. So whenever I talk about something, I address the class and give them some points and tips, etc. So hopefully that they can take forward from that point onwards. Okay, but my question is back at you. What can you do? That kid coming to me for 1 hour compared to the rest of the week with you, right? You have got far more time with that young person. Okay, and usually the kids come to me. A lot of the kids come to me at the age of 8, 9, 10. So the question is, what have you done previously? Okay, I remember one parent came to me. Kid was 11 years old and he was clearly obese. And then he asked me that he's going to come once a week and can you help him to lose his belly? So in my head I was thinking, okay, well, what the hell have you done for the 11 years? Why has that belly got so big? Do you understand? So this is my question. I'm going to put it back onto yourself. So it's harsh, but it's a reality of it, okay? So what can you do? Let's look at what your situation is, okay? You as a family, right? What are your habits? What are your eating habits? What food do you eat? When do you eat? How much do you eat? Okay? How many takeaways a week do you have? Okay? What food comes into your house? Do you understand? If you can have a good, healthy food environment as a family, that will help your child to adopt them ways as well. Okay? If you're having a very unhealthy breakfast, lunch and evening meal, but then expect your kid to have a healthy one, that ain't gonna work, is it? Kids watch us. Okay? They learn from us. They learn our habits from us. Okay? We, the parents, are their kids' role models. Okay? We have to be the positive role models, and we have to have a positive role model environment for them to learn from. Okay? Quite often we see kids, we will pick them, we will look at them and we will realize who the kid belongs to in terms of their character, the way they speak, the way they look. Why? Because they spend so much time with their parent. They're learning their traits and habits, and the way they speak will copy their parents as well. Do you understand? So you have a big impact on your child. Okay, so what are you doing as a family? So one of the things is a lot of families eat a lot of takeaways a week. Okay, so look at that and reduce that. Now, I'm not saying completely not have a takeaway. Have it once a week. Have it as a treat. Okay? But don't overdo it. Similarly with things like sugar, okay, fried food. Okay? Have them as a treat, but not too much. There has to be a balance in your food throughout the whole week. Okay? And your eating habits as well. There has to be a balance in all of it. Okay? So food and family food, the habits of your eating, what you eat, etc., is a big point. Then my question is, what do you do in terms of an activity level? Okay, as a family, are you active? Do you go out for walks? Do you walk to the local town centre? Okay, or are you a family that sits down a lot? Are your children sitting down, lying down a lot on their phones, PlayStations, computers, iPads, whatever? Okay, is activity very minimal? Because that's not going to help either, is it? Do your kids go out to play? Do they run around in the garden? Do they play football? Do they play catching the ball? Do they play cricket? Yeah, what activity level do you do as a family? And then as a parent, what do you do? Because your kid's going to learn from you, remember? Okay, so if you're not active, how can your kid be active? They're going to learn to be like you. They're going to learn your habits. Remember that. Okay? So we got to set a good example. We got to be a good role model for our youngsters. Okay? And looking at that first will help your child. Okay? Now, let's move on to what I can say in terms of dieting for kids, food for kids, and how they can lose weight. Okay? Now, first thing is, I don't believe in putting a kid on a diet, okay? Under 16 years of age, your kids are growing, the bones are growing, the muscles are growing, and trying to put them on a diet will affect that, will hamper that as well. So I don't believe in putting a kid on a diet, okay? Diets are hard for adults, okay? So think about you, if you have dieted, has it been easy or hard? Now think about your child trying to do a diet. It's difficult, okay? One of the kids asked me, how can you become skinnier as a boxer? Okay, so I'm going to link this with the dieting with the kids as well, because there's two things I want you to focus on here when it comes to your kids. One is the food, and one is the activity level. That's going to help them to have a good weight, balanced weight, and even if they are on the large side, they can lose a bit of weight doing these two things. So let's concentrate on the food first. Okay, so you got to make sure your kid has good carbs, good protein, minerals and vitamins. You got to make sure they have good fats. But do you know what they are? As a parent cooking the food, do you know what they are? Do you know what a good protein source is? Do you know what protein is? Does that make sense? You got to know this in order for you to make sure that you got a healthy eating environment in your household. Okay, so the proteins, are you eating fish? Are you eating chicken? Are you eating meat? Yeah? Are you having this in your daily, in your week? Okay? Are you having good carbs? So are you eating potatoes, rice, pasta? Okay? Are you making meals at home? Right? Are you having your vitamins, your minerals from the fruit, the vegetables? Yeah? Are you eating good fats? So have you got nuts going into your diet? Have you got, for example, salmon? Have you got avocado? Have you got good food and fruit that can help with this? Okay? You need to know what they are first and then apply them into your eating habits. Okay? Now, one of the things I say to parents is try not to complicate things. I try and say to them is try and stay away from processed food as much as possible. When I say processed food, foods that are already made in packets. Okay? Trying to stick to whole foods. Make your meals. Okay? If you pick up a food from Tesco, for example, and you look at the ingredients, if it's got a hell of a lot of ingredients, yeah, more than 5 ingredients, then it's bad for you, really. You've got to try and keep to as low as possible when it comes to the ingredients. Some say under 5, some say even under 3 ingredients, okay? And then making sure that obviously the more ingredients there are, you got the chemicals, preservatives, etc., which are not going to help. Okay, the added sugar and stuff like that. So when it comes to food, when you're buying food from the outside, when you go your shopping, look at the ingredients. The less ingredients in that food, the better for you. So that means it's more whole food. So for example, a potato is a whole food, okay? So look at that food and trying to make whole food and stay away from processed food. So if there's too many ingredients, it's a big no, okay? But start off looking at what you're eating in terms of what the bad stuff that you're eating and trying to remove them first. So for example, if you're having more than 1 takeaway a week, that's the first thing you need to reduce, okay? If your kid's eating a lot of sugar, that's another thing you need to reduce, okay? Sugar will inflame your body, okay? It won't help it. And also a lot of these foods nowadays, they have these additives that make you want to eat more. Okay, so the whole purpose of them putting that in is so you keep eating it and buying it and eating it and buying it. Okay, you get addicted to it basically. Okay, so you want to take away the takeaways, the sugar stuff, and limit the sweets and limit the sugar and sweet stuffs in the house. Now, a parent has said to me, can you tell my kid to stop eating sweet stuff? He eats too much sweet stuff. So again, I'm going to put it back onto you. I asked that parent, that where's he getting all the sweet stuff from? Is your kid, has he got money? Is he going to the shop and buying sweets? Or are you bringing the sweets to the house? Now, it could be the case that the kid's got pocket money and he goes to the shop. Whenever he's out, he goes to the shop and he buys a lot of sweet stuff. Okay, let's work on that, okay? That is a habit that they're doing. Okay, so we've got to work on that habit from a young age. We've got to work on the habit so that they know what's bad and what's good for them. Okay, you've got to educate that young child. But I'm talking about the kids who are at home, eating a lot of sweet stuff at home. Who brings that sweet stuff into the house? Who brings it in the house? Now, a kid should be treated. I agree. They should have a little treat now and again. But that doesn't mean have a drawer full of chocolate, sweets, crisps, all the junk food, cakes that you can think of, and then expect your kid not to eat that. We got to remember is human beings, we get tempted by things. Adults are tempted by food, okay, the bad food. We are. Now put yourself in as a kid. A kid will be more tempted than an adult. At least as an adult, we may have a bit more control in what we do. A youngster won't have that control. If he's hungry, he will see the sweet stuff, he will go for it. He'll open a pack of biscuits, he'll have 1, 2, 3, before you know it, half a pack is gone, the full pack is gone. Adults, we may have 1 or 2 biscuits for a cup of tea and leave this out. We know our limits. Kids don't. So you got to make sure you do not bring too much stuff into the house. Bring a little stuff in the house and then explain to that youngster that that stuff is to last the whole week. And if he eats it within the first 2 days, he ain't gained nothing for the rest of the week. And you got to deal with that behavior. Do you understand? You got to have these habits in place and you got to deal with it. Okay? So that is the food. Now I want to talk about activity level. What can you do when it comes to activity level to help your kid and hopefully help yourself as well? Okay, so what happens is kids nowadays spend a lot of time at home. They're not very active. They're on their PlayStations. They're sitting down. They're on their phones a lot. That's one extreme. The other extreme is they get sent to me to do boxing. They'll get a good fit, and sometimes kids don't even want to be there. Some of the kids, I'll be honest with you, do very minimal work and they don't really want to be there for a full hour. They'll find any excuse. They'll go to the toilet 3 times in that hour just to get away from training, so they don't really be there. And if they are there and they do train hard, that's fair enough. But then the middle gap, we need to bridge that gap from being very inactive to very active. We need to bridge that gap, and that's the activity level that we need to bridge. Okay, so look at your kid. Does your kid go walking? Does he walk to school? Does he walk around in school? Okay, do you let him out in the garden playing football and stuff, running around? Do you play a bit of catch with him or something, a bit of cricket with him? Okay, in school, in the playgrounds, is he playing football? What's he doing in the playground? Have you asked the teachers? Is he active in the playground? Yeah. Then outdoor, do you let him out? Does he go out and play sports? Does he ride a bike? Okay, does he run around with his friends in the street? You got to reduce the time that your youngster sits down and lies down. Okay, and that's on you. If you leave a young kid on a mobile phone, he will sit there for 2-3 hours. My daughter's the same, she will sit there for 2-3 hours. If it's not for my wife to have a go at and get her up and do something, she will be happily sitting there talking to her friends. Okay, so this is what youngsters do. It's on you as a parent to get them up, get them active, get them doing things. Simple as that. Okay. Now, today's kids, if you look at today's kids versus yesterday's kids, okay, so if I look back at 30 years ago, when I was a youngster, compared them to nowadays kids, what I see on the streets now, the kids of the yesteryears were very active. Okay, they were out playing football, running around, playing a game of chaser, okay, playing sports, cricket, finding all excuses to play any sports basically. And they were out and about, running around. They were out getting fresh air. Okay. Nowadays, there's so many parents that say to me, "My kid does not get out." But is it your kid that does not get out, or is it you not letting your kid out? What is it? Okay. Sometimes you're not letting the kid out. Therefore, we say, you know, you made your bed, you got to lie in it. Okay. You got to allow your kid out. Some form of activity outside, supervised. Let them out. Let them get the fresh air in them. Let them run around. Let them do things. Okay? So, you know, let's go through that again. Walking. Are they doing playground activities in school? Do you let them out in the street? Do you let them out in the garden? Are your kids also, are they doing any sports? Have you got them into football? Have you got them into a cricket club? Have you got them into a boxing club? Tennis, badminton, whatever. Find something that your youngster is into and get them doing it. Okay? Make the sports fun. Get them to enjoy it. Let them have fun and watch them improve their health and fitness, getting stronger, and hopefully, inshallah, that will help their mindset as well. Okay, so I'm going to cut this video here. So hopefully you can take some tips from this regarding the food, okay, regarding your behaviors as a parent, and also the activity levels as well. Okay, stay tuned for part 2. When I talk about the training, how often kids should train, what kind of training they should be doing, and and more questions regarding training as a whole and how that fits in with food as well. Okay, so stay tuned and I'll see you in part 2.